streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. A town square media station.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be seen live on Facebook at Martin Houston Live on Facebook and YouTube, and at Tide 109 on Facebook as well. And you can also follow at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter and catch the live broadcast of the program. I want to invite you in to be a part of the conversation this morning at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. And we want to remind you, like we do each and every day, that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Got a great show lined up for you. Of course, we'll have DC joining us in the second quarter. But until then, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yesterday, we had a lot of great callers and interactions, posts, and comments. So we may bring a couple of those back into the conversation today as well. We're still looking for your good, bad, and ugly if you want to bring that in and didn't get to it yesterday. Looking for players of the game, guys who stepped up. Maybe not players of the game, but guys who stepped up, had an opportunity to show what they had, as we had some injuries and or like Jalen Armour-Davis couldn't go, but Kyrie Jackson stepped in. How did he do? What grade would you give him? Of course, we lost Emil Ekiyor early in the game. Latham played the entirety of the game. Then late in the game, we had Chris Owens go down. And interesting, George didn't come in. Amari Kite came in. What were your thoughts there? Does that give you pause and concern as you head into the Georgia game, that the right side of the O-line could be total inexperience? Or will those guys be back full speed? And does now, what you saw in those few minutes, are you pulling for Chris Owens? Does he now become an integral part of Alabama and the Crimson Tide's plans to repeat as national champions and to stand tall against the Georgia Bulldogs? We can talk about, whatever else you may have. And I did have a couple of quick miscellaneous things from the NFL. Giving shout out to the Bama guys, of course, Jalen Hurts and his team, the Eagles, getting a big win, and then thanks to other things, appearing to be locking in a playoff spot. So congratulations to them. Mac Jones leads the Patriots back to the playoffs with the resounding victory over a very bad Jags team, but putting up 50 points, getting his confidence back in that sense. Jalen Waddle on the verge of becoming a rookie leader. And Joe, I don't know if you saw it last night, but your boy last night, Najee Harris, broke Franco Harris's rookie rushing record for the Pittsburgh Steelers in their win last night. So kudos to those Bama guys and what they were able to do, many of them in their first year, or first or second year, and a lot of other guys. Um, do you remember, just to show you how many Bama guys are in the pros, Joe? Do you remember Hassanar?
He played offensive line, but not very. He didn't play very much here.
No, he didn't, but he started for the Steelers last night at center. So, so it's just, as I'm sitting there, I'm going, hold on, okay, where do I know that name from? Oh yeah, he was one of those guys that was on the Bama roster who didn't play a whole lot, but yet he's hung around in the pros long enough that now he was the starter last night and did a pretty good job considering. So, but anyway, thoughts on Najee breaking Franco's record?
Oh, he looked great last night, and he
Did he?
looked great all season long. The Steelers, I don't know where they'd be without Najee Harris this year. Obviously, been in his last year, still playing at a decent level, but Najee Harris has really been the engine of that Steelers offense. So he's been a huge focal point, and I love seeing him get that shine. Only issue last night, Martin. I don't know if you were able to stay up all the way to the end.
I didn't.
They were rushing to the end, and I thought, man, Najee, you should have taken a knee on that last touchdown run, extended celebration. But you're not going to have any running back make that move, so I understand. I just messed around.
Did you see his stiff arm last night?
Oh yeah, he gave. Najee Harris. He's going to be a great NFL running back for a long time if he can stay healthy.
Yes, he is. It was two. I would have to give it up to Nick Chubb as well. Both of them had you almost have to, I don't know. You remember how it became you got mossed when someone would catch a pass over you because of Randy Moss and the way he played. I'm just wondering when you got Henried or something, because every time someone gets stiff arm now, they always refer to Derrick Henry, and it happened twice last night, once for the Steelers and once for the Browns. But
Derrick Henry might be coming right back right in time for the playoffs for the Titans. So really exciting time for him too.
Well, yeah. Think about sidebar, but with the Titans 11-5, they have. Even though Derek hasn't been there, I think their playing style is 100%. When we get Derek back, we're not going to change. They didn't change when he went out. It took them a little while. They struggled a couple games, but then the replacements kind of found their groove, and they're playing exactly the way they do with Derek. Is that Titans team potentially with Derrick Henry coming back? Do you really? And them sitting right now as the number one seed, potentially Super Bowl bound, man. I mean, that kind of crazy to think, but I think they're sitting at 11-5, and Derek potentially could be back next week, but they won't play him next week because they don't need to, but. And then they get a bye week, so I think he'll be ready for the playoffs. That'll be an interesting run. So.
Yeah, the Titans. I've always thought the last handful of years, they don't have quite enough. They don't have quite enough. But their defense this year is really, really strong. Yep. And you're exactly right. They've slid Deontay Foreman into the Derrick Henry role, and really after a game or two, they've been rocking and rolling. So if he can slide right back in and beat Derrick Henry, the Titans might be really dangerous.
Yeah, they could be. Hey, listen, I had a conversation. And this is going to sound crazy, but as I talk through this, changing gears here for a second, Joe, before we bring DC on, and DC, we can bring him into this conversation. But you know how the semifinals have been blowouts? Almost pretty consistently. And part of that is because Alabama has played in, 7 of the 8, semifinals. and lost one and won the other 6. So that's part of the reason the semifinals have been blowouts. But what if I told you, as I was thinking through this, what if the 14 playoff actually is worse for having a close game in the semifinals than an expanded playoff? Sounds crazy, right?
Go on.
Okay.
The average margin victory in the semifinals right now is 21 points.
Right. And so I was thinking, if you went to a 12-game playoff, because what happens right now, Joe, is Alabama and Georgia got a month to recuperate, right? Alabama and Georgia got a month. They're already better than everybody, right? There's no question that as a whole, the 1 and 2 teams in the playoffs have really been obviously better than most of the time than 3 and 4. You and I, neither one would deny that. But think about this. If the best 2 teams get a full month to recuperate, to get injuries back, and when they have to replace somebody, they replace them with another 4 or 5 star. And they get the equivalent of a spring practice to get that player ready. But if they didn't have that time, they didn't have a month off, and they had to play within they played in the bowl game. They would play in the championship game, right? SEC championship game. Then they get 1 week off, and then they're playing again, and they're not getting all of that recuperation. And those young guys, the Trayshawn Holdens of the world, the McLaughlins think about McLaughlin. We're saying, hey, he's only started 1 game, but he just had another spring practice. So the reality of it is the month off actually may create a bigger gap between 1 and 4, because when we beat Georgia, Cincy was probably as close to beating us as they would ever be. But because we got a month off, we got to get everybody back healthy. Backups got reps, replacements got reps, and we got rested. Just a thought. I was just thinking through that, and I was talking to someone, and we were like, I wonder if that would make it even more interesting, because all of a sudden, you don't get a month off to recuperate. You don't get an extra spring practice in terms of getting guys ready. So just a thought. Any comments on that?
I think that's an interesting thought.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly the other teams are getting healthy as well. I think that's an interesting thought to put out there.
They get healthy, yeah, and you're right. Both sides get healthy. But say Alabama and Georgia, best 2 recruiting classes in the last 4 years, 1 and 2.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So when they're getting healthy and they're making replacements, like I was talking to, it was a Georgia fan that I was talking to. He said they had guys that had not been healthy enough to play on their defense in half the season, and they got some of those guys back. So that's what I mean by you get your guy, you're already better. You get your guys back, and if you're replacing them, you're getting another spring practice for a freshman or a 5-star that hasn't played. So it like I said, it was just an interesting thought. I wasn't saying that that's the only reason, because I think part of the reason is the fact that Alabama, this was Alabama's closest win in a semifinal, other than I think when we beat Clemson that year. I think we've blown everybody out, and so we've kind of stretched that average out ourselves. Then Georgia stretched it out. Clemson stretched it out. So 1 and 2 clearly have been the better teams. And do they get even better, and does the gap grow? That's just a thought between having to play right after you played versus getting a month. And when you got a coach like Nick Saban, that month to get ready for one team, Joe, probably goes advantage Nick Saban week in and week out. So just like I said, it was just an interesting thought. Food for thought, something to make you think about. No scientific evidence there, but I guarantee you the other teams may be thinking, make them play every week in, week out, and they don't get those guys back, and they don't get a chance to get those freshmen immediately ready, or those 5 stars to replace another 5-star. I had one of my church members say, yeah, you guys get somebody hurt and y'all just plug in another 5-star, so don't complain. I was like, okay. Anyway, coming back on the other side, we have DC Capstone Report. We continue some of this conversation. We'll also ask him his thoughts on the game as well. And we'll also be talking about the Alabama basketball team with DC. We're welcoming you into the conversation at 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we have an incident on Alabama 171. This is about 2 miles north of Rhodes Boulevard that has the northbound lanes blocked, so you can expect delays. Everything else pretty quiet. If you do see conditions, give me a call. It's a new year. That means new deals for you at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Before you roll in to watch the Tide, roll into Mary's Travel Center just off I-59 to exit 86 in Brookwood. They have all the snacks, cold beverages, and ice you need for tailgating. If you're hungry, step next door to Subway or to the Huddle House and eat before or after the game. Before you leave for the game, be sure and fill your tank with Marathon Gas. Mary's Travel Center, just off I-59 to exit 86 in Brookwood. Locally owned by the Gibson family. Mary's Travel Center says roll Tide.
Fall is here, and it's time to hit the woods or trail in your ATV or side-by-side from Redline Power Sports on Highway 43 North at Tierce Patton Road in Northport. Stop by today, and Redline Power Sports can show you how they can save you big bucks. Redline Power Sports also sells boats and jet skis. They have a full-service repair shop for ATVs, side-by-sides, boats, and jet skis. Redline Power Sports, open Monday through Saturday on Highway 43 North at Tierce Patton Road in Northport. Call 737-7425.
Every home is unique. That's why I, the Orkin man, rely on science.
Bob, Orkin is here.
Hi, we have a rodent problem.
Rodents do like to find a comfortable home, and even if you get rid of them once, they're great at finding their way back in.
Mom, soda.
Especially if there's a good source of food.
And a slice of pizza.
But using the latest research and exclusion techniques, I'll customize a treatment for your home that'll send them packing.
Don't forget the ranch this time.
Were you still talking about rodents?
Orkin, pest control down to a science. Visit Orkin.com for a free estimate.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather tonight is cold today. A good supply of sunshine, the high 56. For tonight, mostly fair with a low at 33. Tomorrow, increasingly cloudy with a high at 57. Colder Thursday, cloudy with some light rain at times, the high at 45. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 31 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Martin, you're out right now.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on this beautiful morning. We're glad to have you with us. We're live and local on Tide 100.9 on the radio dial, as well as broadcasting on Facebook on the Martin Houston Live fan page, Tide 109 and DC Capstone Report. And then also you can follow us at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. We got a great show lined up for you, and we're bringing DC Capstone Report into this conversation. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Martin. How are you this morning?
Doing good. Before I get into the specifics of the game, I don't know if you were able to listen before we brought you on. I was just through some things that make you think sometimes, and I asked the question, is it possible, because there's been a lot of conversation about expanding the playoffs and whether or not that'd be a good thing or bad thing since the semifinals are already blowouts. And I just threw it out there. What if the current setup actually makes it easier to have blowouts because the number one team and the number two team are most of the time the clearly the best two teams, and so far that's kind of been Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, which are also 1, 2, 3, 4 when it comes to recruiting. They get a whole month to get healthy, which means their 4 and 5 stars are getting better. If they have injuries, they are replacing their injured with 4 and 5 stars. Does that gap and that time actually create an even bigger gap between 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 than it would have been if they had to start playing, 3 weeks earlier?
Well, I think that's an interesting thought. I think that you could probably make a case that teams, 1 and 2 teams that have so much more time to prepare, time to get people healthy, you can make cases that it's an advantage. And if you were to play the next week, that it may be a disadvantage. But when you go to 12 teams, I think you dilute the competition. And you got 1 versus 12. And
well, actually, the way I would do it would be 1 through 4 would have a week off. So then the other 8 would play. So you'd have a little better. Hopefully, you'd have a little better competition if the higher seeds won. But
if your idea is not to give anybody time off in order for them to be able to recover, then
it's a month off, not time off, a month off. Because you think a month off is another spring practice.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's an extra.
If you have to plug and play.
And maybe that may be part of the secret to mix.
I don't know. I think the gap between the 1 and 2 is always going to be wide. I've never been an expansion. I think expansion dilutes the play instead of makes it better. But that's just my opinion.
But every time in the NFL, how often does the 1 and 2 seeds make it? I mean, how often do you? I mean, I don't know that. That's a question. I don't know that. I was asking that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But
I agree with that. I think that the talent level in the NFL is a little closer parity-wise than it is in college football.
And that's my point is I didn't say that I don't think those lower teams will win, DC. I was just addressing the blowout level. The talent level is closer in the NFL, and they have to play immediately. The talent level in the college game is not closer per se, and so the gap between 1 and 2 gets even further when you look at it when they get a month off. That's kind of my point is giving those guys a month off is probably as unfair as it would be. And hey, is there really? Do you think there's? And this is just another changing that, adding on to that question. Do you think there's really a difference between teams 3 and 10 this year?
I think probably this is one of the years there's not that great a difference. I think Georgia and Alabama are just head and shoulders above everybody else in the talent.
Yeah. And so, but that was just like I said, that was just a thought of not whether or not we'd have 1 and 2 wouldn't necessarily still do what they do in the semifinals, and not, but does that practice time allow the 1 and 2 to get even better because their talent gap is already significantly larger, and does it expand, thus leading to blowout games, which we have come accustomed to. Let's look at the Alabama Georgia matchup and review their semifinal games. When you look at Alabama versus Cincinnati, I'm sorry, before I get into that, I don't want to make our caller hold any longer. Tom, you're in with DC Capstone reporting the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, Mark. Good morning, DC. Mark, tell Joe you're breaking up some on your end. I think that we need to check something. But anyway.
Hey, Tom, I think it might be your telephone. Give us a call back. You're breaking up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call back. Thank you.
Yeah, just call back. That very well. I was trying to say we both break it up there, but anyway, Joe, let me know when Tom gets back in. But DC, when you look at this Alabama game, and what's happening in terms of Cincinnati, just give your overall assessment of what you saw Alabama do against Cincinnati.
Well, I just think that the what we talked about before in pregame was Alabama just matched up great against Cincinnati, and the bigs up front. They all started up front. We controlled the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and defense, and I don't think that they could match up in that area. And then we dedicate ourselves to running the ball, and I think running the ball with that type of matchup against that type of defense was the right move. And Brian Robertson just played great in that game. I thought Trey Sanders did a good job in the running game as well, giving him some breaks, get some breathers at times. So overall, it started with the offensive line. They did a great job. We did a good job running the ball. We didn't have to pass the ball. They took away a lot of our passing game and gave us the running game, and we took what they gave us and did a good job with it. I think on defense, we were really good, solid. Had to commend Kyrie Jackson for stepping up when Jalen Armour-Davis couldn't go. I thought he did a really commendable job on some of their wide receivers. It was really good. And we put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and we talked about that in our assessment of the game. If we could pressure the quarterback, he wouldn't be able to throw in those tight spaces and make the plays, and we did just that. I thought it was an overall great performance for Alabama.
Absolutely. We'll dig into some specifics of some of the things you just mentioned, but Tom is back. Tom, you're back in with the Martin Houston Show with DC Capstone Report. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning again, Mark. DC, how are y'all? I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thanks for taking my call. Look, if it's okay, I want to talk defense a little bit, and I've come up with something that when I was watching the game that was I started to thinking about, and that was analytics for the defense. And as I watched the game, and as I've watched the defense progress this year, I think some of the problems we have was trying to take the analytics to the field. And as I watched that game the other night, it was interesting to me how many batted down passes we had. And when you look at where the defensive player was when they batted that down, it was almost like basketball. You know, the passing lane in basketball and the analytics that go into, they throw it like this. You know what I'm saying? I want to get y'all to speak to that. And do you think that what I was looking at is accurate or stupid or or what is the deal? But I was thinking that it was almost like they kind of, knew how the trajectory of the young man's passes were going to come out and what alley he liked to throw them through. And they were there and knocked down several passes.
DC, I'll let you respond, then I'll respond.
I think you're very, very close to what we were seeing as well. But I do believe that Alabama actually practices that. There's a drill that they go through every practice of batting down balls. They have a way to even to the degree of how to extend your arm, where to place your hands, how many fingers to get up to get the best opportunity to bat down a ball. And they're taught when to do it, and when to at the apex of it, when the thrower's arm gets to a certain point. If they can't get to the quarterback, then they're taught to throw their hand up and to get to the passing lane. So I think you're exactly right about that. Martin may know a little bit more about the specifics of it, but I heard him speak about that post game. There was actually a drill that they could do every week. It was not by chance. They work on that every week.
And Tom, it's not analytics, and it's not new, by the way. Nick Saban has always said. Have you ever wondered why Nick Saban has never really had a great pass rusher? Because he doesn't push. Let's get sacks. That's never been a hey, let's get sacks. He's always been let's pressure the quarterback and let's move him off his spot or cause him to be uncomfortable. So that's not new and not really analytics. What happened is this team bought into that. And if you watch that game, early on in the game, you may have been wondering, where's Will Anderson? I don't know that they were trying to sack him early. I think they knew kind of, okay, we want to keep him contained. We don't want him to hurt us with his legs. Let's make him beat us with the pass. So you would watch our linemen and they would get pressure and then they would almost stop. They would harass him. They would make him feel like they were going to get pressure on him. And when he would get ready to pass the ball, the lineman would stop and elevate. And as you say, everybody has passing lanes. I mean, we call them in basketball, we call them passing lanes. In football, we call them windows that they want to throw through. And they're always in certain spots based on the routes that's happening and all of that. And so, yeah, I think without a doubt that is part of what Nick Saban. And then as you notice, once they were not really as concerned about him beating him if he took off running because they were behind, what happened with our pass rush? It got to him then, right? Once you go back and look, early on in the game, we were knocking the balls down, right?
Right.
But once they got behind and they needed to get the ball down the field more, per se, instead of just running it, they weren't as worried about him hurting them with the run. And then they went and got the quarterback. If you go back and look, I think all of our sacks probably came somewhere after the third quarter, into the third quarter, into the fourth quarter.
Well, I'll say this. When they were down there inside the 15-yard line and that slant pass came off his hand, I thought, oh, my God. And then all of a sudden, here's a linebacker batting the ball down. I go, whoa, wait a minute now. What did I just see? And in times past, that would have killed us. And or not killed us, but would have been a score. And that started my thought process is they probably, I just wondered during the course of preparation.
That's a month.
Say, hey, he likes to do this right here.
Yep.
And this is where he likes to do it.
It's a month. It's a month of preparation and film. And when they get into a certain distance from the goal line, they're going slant route. So, and you cannot sack a quarterback on a slant route.
No.
I mean, you can't. You can distract him or make him pull the ball down, but you're not gonna sack him on his initial throw on a slant, right? So what do you do? You try to distract his window or limit his window, and what it does, it also, Tom, and I'll let you go and I'll let DC respond after this, but Tom, what it does is it gives the DB more confidence that he has help to the inside in a non-traditional way. In other words, those linebackers and linemen are going to help close that window. So if you lose him, most of the time you lose him to the inside so that because you have help. And that's what I think you saw on that particular play that you're referring to.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, sir. DC, you have any more comments on that before we get out of here for the break?
No, I just think it's another way that we see Alabama, just going to the nth degree of making sure everything's covered, and that's what you get when you're playing out on defense. They anticipate, and these batted passes are not something by chance; they're something that's planned for.
All right, coming back on the other side, we'll continue a little defensive conversation and get your thoughts. Please call us at 205-342-9904. Taco Casa hotline's open for business. And hey, all I'm asking you is this: has Pete Golden finally won over the Bama Nation? Think about that as we come back from break right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we have an incident on Alabama 171. This is about 2 miles north of Rhodes Boulevard that has the northbound lanes blocked, so you can expect delays. Everything else pretty quiet. If you do see conditions, give me a call. It's a new year. That means new deals for you at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
Well, this isn't the olden days. Now word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square Tuscaloosa, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in Tuscaloosa you can reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the town square today. That's townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in Tuscaloosa you could be reaching online. Visit townsquarelocal.com today and be the town square.
Van the Bootman here, inviting you to check out Irvin's new fall arrivals from Wrangler, Ariat, Carhartt & Co. You'll find locally owned, friendly service, low prices, and one of the best selections around. Irvin's also has a great selection of boots for men, women, and children, along with a nice selection of drastically marked down boots and shoes for men and women. I do want to let all of our Irvin's loyal customers know that we're currently experiencing delayed shipments on boots, bottoms, and shirts. So shop now for the best selection. As always, thank you for your support, and remember to tell them Van the Bootman sent you.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the second half. It's the second half kickoff of the Martin Houston Show with DC Capstone Report, inviting you to be a part of the conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show with DC Capstone Report. Welcome to all of those that join us on the social media outlets as well as on the radio airwaves. Glad to have you a part of the program. Stay tuned for great conversation all day long. Immediately follow me inside the locker room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson. Gary Harris takes you up until the 11 o'clock hour, and then Jacob Harris off the edge. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give a shout out to Jacob because I had a chance to have him on. If you want a guy that's going to be in the know, technical, give you probably potentially different perspective than you're going to get from a lot of other shows than Jacob Harris and 11 o'clock. Hey, figure out on the app on Tide 109 where you can tune into that if you're not in your vehicle. Great show. And then, of course, Jay Barker takes you up to the game, and Ryan Fowler takes you up to 6 o'clock. And then Alabama Tradition follows that. So great programming all day long right here on Tide 100.9. All right, DC, as we were going to break there, I asked a question, DC. Has Pete Golding finally done enough to win the Bama fans over? Has he been consistent enough that we won't be getting any calls starting with fire Pete Golding?
No, I'll just answer no, because there's some Alabama fans that are never going to be a Pete Golding fan, and I know that just because of what he's done. I've always been a big supporter of Pete Golding, knowing the behind the scenes things and what Nick Saban thinks about him, and I've always tried to support him on your show. It doesn't matter what we do. It seems like there's always somebody that's going to be a detractor of Pete Golding. And I know that to be true. It happens in my own family. I have a son-in-law who just tells me how bad Pete Golding is, even when we win a game and do it with defense. So I don't know what it is about him. Like a lightning rod for some Alabama fans, but I don't know that we're going to ever have the whole entire fan base be Pete Golding fans. But I've always championed his upside, and I've criticized the things that I think he could do better, and I think he's done that. I think he's improved, and I am definitely thinking that he has got Alabama in a position to be a national championship team this year.
Absolutely, and as you said, there's never going to be enough. And I had someone say, "Man, Pete Golding finally got it right." I said, "Well, is it Pete Golding that finally got it right, or did the players finally start executing what Pete's calling?" I said, "Do you think Pete's calling any different defenses than he was before, or is the communication better and they're executing it better and they bought in more, and you got some maturity and some consistency for the first time in his career?" I mean, when you go back and look at it and start looking at what he's had, this is the first time he had a season where he started off with some guys and finally got to a point where they're executing what he's been calling. So has he really changed, or have they really bought in? Which one do you think it is?
I think they really bought in. I think the execution is the key. I think we've always said that he has the skills, he has the knowledge, he has the way to tell you how to play. The question is, can he communicate it in a way to the players that they buy in and can execute? And I think we're seeing that the players have bought in and they're executing, and time. I mean, he had some time with these players. Some of the sophomores on this team, sophomores and juniors on the defense, have had some time in his system to really get an idea of what he's wanting them to do and how it works. And I think we've seen that in the last couple of games.
Yeah, C.J. Watson says the way I see it, he's done enough to keep them quiet. Talking about Bama fans, but I wouldn't say he's won over Bama fans. And Jeffrey Arlequin said he's been groomed into a great defensive coordinator. And to your point, he said it takes time. He's learning from the best coach in history. Give it time. And hey, listen, if in the process of him learning, DC, we win 2 national titles, I'd say that's pretty successful training period.
Very successful. Very successful.
And we are where we are because of defense. I mean, we've watched this defense play. When you think about it, if you just look at the last 3 games, this has been as dominant a defense as Alabama's played in a long, long time, going back to the Auburn game, then the Georgia game, and then this Cincinnati game. They need to pull out one more. And Jeffrey coming back and says the defense will win it on Monday. Wow, that's a big time statement there. We got Pat who's waiting. Pat, you're in with DC Capstone reporting the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. I hope you guys can fill me in. What's going on with our cornerback coach? Is he that he's not? I mean, why would you make a lateral move?
How you know it's lateral?
Well, because he's going to the same position as what the information that I read. That could be wrong.
They don't make it lateral though. That just means the same title.
Well, our coaches are pretty well compensated as far as assistant coaches go. And he's an extremely good recruiter, and I just can't quite understand.
So if you were,
please,
if you were, let me ask it this way, Pat. If you feel like you were really good and you had spent a couple years learning from Nick Saban, right? And you were being recruited to come to a team that has a new coaching staff, which I don't know if he's going to have more responsibility or not. I'm assuming they're probably going to pay him as much or more than he was here. When you coach DBs at Alabama, who gets credit for DBs at Alabama?
I'm Saban.
All right, there we go. Sometimes guys want that he's learned from him, and now he may want to go try and see if he can do that somewhere else. And, all of a sudden he may have an opportunity. And remember, Oklahoma will be back in the SEC before long. And so it's not the same as going to the Big 12 the way it used to be. He may be going to another SEC team with a lot of opportunity. DC, you have any thoughts on that?
I agree with you, Martin. I think the assessment is number one. I think his idea is being at different places to stay a little while, learn from there, and move up. And so I think he would not think this is a lateral move. I think it's a move up. He's learning from the best at the defensive back position, and now he gets to go and take those skills and use them on a team where he'll probably have less oversight and more independence to eventually move up to the defensive coordinator position, which I think he would like to go next. So I think for him, it won't be a lateral move. I think he's thinking it's learning from the best and moving on, using those skills in a way that'll help him eventually be a head coach someday.
Yeah, and listen, Pat. Not everybody's cut out to coach for Nick Saban in a long time. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't know Jay's coach Velaz. I don't know his family situation. I don't know if he has kids. I don't know. One of the things that Dabo talked about was how much he was a family guy. And maybe that's what intrigues him. Maybe he's trying to have that family thing. And maybe, coach is trying to get to a place where he can either start a family or spend more time with his family. I don't know.
Well, all I know is that this one's going to be a little more difficult for Coach to replace because he's a decent recruiter and he seems to be a relatively good teacher.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, you look at what I had down, Pat, and I had actually, to make sure I didn't mispronounce his name, I had asked Joe about him because I was looking at, you look at what he's done this year. He's had to coach some guys and some replacements, but Kyrie Jackson was a big time contributor in turn, and then had Kool-Aid ready to play, and that's on him. I mean, that's the coach getting his guys ready to play.
I think he does a great job, and I think he would be hard to replace. But I think it's somebody that Coach Saban can be proud of what he's done here, and also be proud that he's moving on to take the skills somewhere else. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I don't think there's a problem there.
I don't know that has he agreed to go, or is it just that it came out that they're targeting him?
That's correct. What you just said is correct. But do y'all agree that Kyrie Jackson in the on-field or playing in this game is going to be a help with these taller receivers and especially taller tight ends and things that they do have a tendency to go downfield further?
I think Kyrie Jackson and his length is going to be a help on the outside, especially against the wide receivers. But also because I think he plays in phase a little better than some others because of his experience in junior college ranks and then also under under Coach Saban and Coach Bala. So I think he's done a really good job, and I think he'll be an asset to us in the passing game against defense against Georgia.
Gotcha. That's what I was thinking. All right. Hey, y'all have a blessed day, and hey, it's going to be cold up there, fellas. And I just went down and got my freezer coats out of the cellar a while ago.
Yeah. All right, Pat. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Come back on the other side. We'll do a rapid fire with DC Capstone Report right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we have an incident on Alabama 171. This is about 2 miles north of Rhodes Boulevard that has the northbound lanes blocked, so you can expect delays. Everything else pretty quiet. If you do see conditions, give me a call. It's a new year. That means new deals for you at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. Tuscaloosa City and County schools begin their spring semesters tomorrow. They'll do it amid the rapidly spreading COVID-19 Omicron variant. While some school systems are requiring masks, the city and county will not, at least for now. Both systems say they will closely monitor students through the remainder of the semester. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. Download the app. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Get your biggest refund guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros will help find thousands worth of new tax credits so you get every dollar you deserve. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
With the new law, more people qualify for financial assistance at healthcare.gov. Real customers like Taylor.
You know, I wish people knew how easy it was to get health coverage. This new law has made it so affordable. I'm only paying $52 a month, but there are quality plans for even less.
New law, lower prices, more people qualify. Enroll by January 15th at healthcare.gov.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you live in West Alabama and need insurance, just like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Miles Adair in Reform is there with home, auto, and life insurance, as well as banking services. Their mission statement is to help people manage the risk of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and realize their dreams. Miles Adair State Farm has been helping people in West Alabama with their insurance needs and would love to help you. Give Miles Adair State Farm a call at 375-6244. That's 375-6244.
Crimson Village Senior Living is an assisted living and dementia care facility located in Tuscaloosa. The Crimson Village motto is "We Own Fun." We've extended our dementia care for the need of the community. If your loved one is in need of a home that specializes in memory care, provides fun and entertainment to help with cognitive skills, and is surrounded by fun-loving friends, please come take a tour at Crimson Village. Ask for Tim, 1410 18th Avenue East, Tuscaloosa, 35404. Visit crimsonvillage.com. That's crimsonvillage.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Right now. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's DC Capstone Report. And want to remind you real quick that Alabama One Insurance 2-minute warning is upon us. Go check out Alabama One Insurance at alabamaoneinsurance.com. Your one source for all your insurance needs. Hey, DC, we had another call come in. Gary from Ohio is in and wants to speak with you. Gary, you're in with DC Capstone Report. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys.
How you doing? Good.
Good morning. Good morning. A couple questions for you, and I'll get out of your way because I know we're running out of time.
What do you think about the announcement yesterday when that Texas ATM paid $30 million to get their recruiting class, and what adverse effects it's going to have with recruiting? Because Nick he's against paying for kids just to come in. Remember, he talked about they're not supposed to use likeness to, be recruited, but apparently Texas negated that and went around it. What do you think the NCAA going to do about it? And this seems to me to be a critical thing that's going to have a huge effect on college football. And it's going in the wrong direction. Not that I'm opposed to kids getting paid and making money, but if this is what they're going to do, they're going to pay them before they start playing and not earn anything. And I just think Texas A&M ATM is going to screw everything up and screw themselves up too. I don't think they're going to get anything any better, because I can't see these kids working harder if they come in with a paycheck already waiting on them.
DC?
Well, I hear what you're saying. I think this is what we've always could fear could happen. With the name, image, and likeness, you take something good, that's meaningful and helpful for the players, and then there's boosters and other people that can use it the wrong way, and it's kind of open season in recruiting. First of all, to answer your question about the NCAA, I think the NCAA has lost all credibility and power. I don't think that they're going to be able to do anything about it. They can't even do anything about a coach who's blatantly paid players, and he's still coaching at LSU. So basketball, so I think they've set the precedent that they're not going to do anything about it. I think it's going to really hurt some of the players. There's going to be some players that aren't going to be motivated as much based on that, but I think that's part of it. And I think that it's going to hurt recruiting a little bit because you're going to find out on the front end a lot of players going places for money and realize that they're not going to make the play in time, and the money's not going to be there during when they read the fine print of the contract. So.
Yep. And I would say this, Gary, Nick Saban actually said there's going to be a day potentially where college athletes will not be college students. I was in a meeting and he said that before name, image, and likeness officially went into effect. So we may very well be on our way to see that happening. Call back anytime, Gary. We appreciate you. DC, tell us real quick where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at DCCapstoneReport.com, the DC Capstone Report Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at DavidCott50. And please check out Lance's other sites, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com.
All right. Thanks, DC. We didn't get to talk with you about hoops, but we'll catch up with you next week. We're going to have to get you on for a little longer or more often. We appreciate what you bring to the table, sir. Thanks, and have a blessed day.
Thank you, Martin, and Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide. For the Martin Houston Show, for Joe Gaither, for DC Capstone Report, and all of our guest callers and chatters, we appreciate what you bring to the conversation, and we'll be back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, the Martin Houston Show. Roll Tide.
A dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your blood. Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports.
Thanks, Joe. You too.
Streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.